Hey there, my name is Reagan Boggs and I am an ACOA and quality of life coach. Today's video I have in mind is why do we as adult children of alcoholics tolerate such bad behavior in people? I have a feeling this is going to be a very rambling video because I just have so many things going through my head this morning. I am part of some forums and blogs and Facebook groups around adult children of alcoholics because I'm very passionate about providing support. I feel like as adult children of alcoholics that we may not get the support that we need because we are not the addict. And a lot of times the focus is always on the addict and helping them recover and not understanding so much the damage and destruction that they leave in their wake and how there's threads of that continue to carry on in our lives, that it's just little things that come up from time to time. And I'm not a therapist. I'm not an expert on adult children of alcoholics. I just happen to be one. And this is my way of trying to help. And I'll give you a little bit of background on where I'm coming from. I have been one of these people who have not owned that story. I felt like I did not want to be perceived as a victim. I wanted to own the strong parts of what I felt I had developed, the resilience, the strength, the perseverance. All those words kind of mean the same thing, but I did not want somebody to look at me and feel sorry for me because of how I grew up. So I just kind of kept that part of my life to myself. And I kind of knew in the back of my mind, yeah, I'm probably screwed up, in some ways because of what I saw and things that I experienced. That's very vague. And maybe one of these days I'll get on here and I'll be very specific. And I may do that today. I don't know. But back to, why we let people treat us bad. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that everything that we saw growing up around bad behavior, bad treatment, the things that were happening to us, it was always excused. That person would not be doing this if they weren't drinking. They aren't like this. It's just altered who they really are. And, you can't take this to heart because they don't mean it. It's not them. It's the alcohol. There's excuses. Or, in some cases, from what I've read, it wasn't that way at my house. We knew he was an alcoholic. We knew there was a problem. There was no denial about it. We weren't allowed to speak about it. My mom would tell me, you can't tell the teachers at school that, you're up all night or you're getting dressed out of the car to go to the school bus because social services will come and take you away. So we didn't talk about any of that. That I missed half the school year. I'm surprised that the teachers really didn't put that together at that time. But you just are taught that there's reasons why people do the things that they are doing. And you look for those reasons, you look for those excuses, and you become a monumental, empathetic, compassionate person. And I think in a lot of ways that's a wonderful trait to have. But it is not a wonderful trait to have when someone is treating you like shit and you continue to let them do it because you understand where they're coming from. It doesn't matter why someone is treating you like shit or someone is not giving you the respect that you deserve. It's just not okay. It's not okay. And while you may understand it and you may excuse it, you do not have to put up with it. And I think as ACOAs, it's just a habit that we have developed that we are just going to consciously have to make an effort every single day of our lives to say, I'm not doing it. You have to work through your own problems. You are not my problem. And I still do that to this day. And like I said, working through my issues with ACOA is a very new thing, a couple of years. And I have many more years to go to work through things. I understand that. I mean, there's a lot of hurt there that I don't even realize exists. And, it's like turning over little rocks every day. It's like, oh, wow. It's just kind of like that video I was talking about in my last video about the grief of not being able to be a kid. I had no clue that I was grieving over that. I had no clue that when I was in a restaurant with someone, and I could see this, great family, or what I perceived as a great family, a loving father, and the closeness of kids being able to be lighthearted and laugh, and I would feel this little twist in my heart because I'm like, that would have been nice. I would have liked to experience that, but I didn't. So, if you're in this age of digital and texting and Facebooking and IMing and, being a compassionate, empathetic person, people are going to target you because you are. And, we have this tendency to want to fix people, or ACOAs are I say this all the time, we're prone to this, we're prone to that, but we do tend to find the little birds with the broken wings, and we want to help and be nurturing and give that love and, be understanding. So, say this guy starts texting you and he's all about you, and you think, oh, well, he's great, and then, he starts, well, maybe you don't hear from him for 2 weeks, or, and he's, oh, I'm depressed, I'm this, I'm that, and you're like, oh, okay, I get it, shoot, I'm not important, that's important, that's real life issues, I get it, you don't have to contact me every day, or you don't have to follow up and always do what you say you're going to do, and, you have excuses, and they seem valid, and all right. But it's not okay. It's not okay for, I don't care what you have going on. It is not okay to treat people badly. And you may not, these people may not even realize they're doing it, but, you have to recognize it. They don't have to recognize it. You do. You have to say, okay, look back at your father or your mother, whoever was not there, and say, that was bullshit. It was not okay. I don't care if they were drinking. That's not my problem that they were drinking. I didn't have to accept that. That is not my problem. And, it was not okay for them to do that to me, or put me in those situations. It was not okay. And, here I go on a tangent, rambling, I guess, but, I see these posts over and over again from adult children. I feel worthless. Why couldn't he stop drinking for me? Why could he not? Why was I not important enough? Evidently I'm worthless. I feel like shit. I feel like crap because my own father couldn't even love me. He couldn't quit drinking. He couldn't stop for me. His family was not important enough. And I relate. I'm not supposed to jump in the box with people as a life coach. I'm supposed to kind of be observant and just kind of mirror and validate what you're feeling. But I get this because I used to, as a 6 and 7, 8-year-old little girl, we lived in this split 4-year house, and there was a little staircase that came up from the main door. It was 3 steps, and there was a banister there, and my dad would always, when he would come in, we would be sitting in the living room, which was the room that the banister was kind of facing as you come up, and he would always put his arms on that banister, and he would sit there and he would talk, and I would leave him letters on the banister, and I would say, to Dad, please stop drinking, I love you, and you are going to die, because they told my dad at 35 if he didn't stop drinking that he would die. And you would think that you logically would say, well, if he didn't love himself enough to quit, then he couldn't love me enough to quit. But when you're little, you're just thinking, I just want him to quit, and why can't he? You don't understand all the chemical crap that's going on in the brain and all the need for numbing, or you're not looking at what is the physiology and the biology that's going on behind addiction. All you see is that, my dad can't do this for me. And boy, oh, I see all these loving fathers that are able to love their kids, and they're not drinking. What's wrong with me? Why can't he do that for me? Why can't my dad do that for me? And my dad would just, he would berate and belittle me to death. Did your mommy put you up to that? I can quit whenever I want. And, you're just a little girl, and you don't tell me what to do. And, so you stop asking, because, it doesn't do any good. And you just learn, my little boy, when he comes in the house after school, his arms are open, and I am giving him a hug, and I am just so in love with him, and he knows that I love him and that he is important to me. And when my dad came in the door, I wrote a song about this because I'm a singer-songwriter, and I wrote a song called Ready to Run about laying in the bed at night and hearing his boots come up the driveway, and that dread and that pit that you just had no idea who that person was going to be when he walked through the door. And you have to come to terms with, he's your dad, and you have this fierce loyalty and this fierce loyalty to family. And what is wrong with me? Why do I lay awake at night and I hear him and my mom yelling in the next room, and I'm an 8-year-old kid, and I am envisioning bludgeoning my dad to death with some kind of baseball bat or something, is just wanting him to be dead, and having to rationalize yourself, what is wrong with me? Yeah, oh my God, I am wishing my dad was dead, and I should love my dad. And, and how as you get older, that you never lose that push and pull that's going on in your head all the time. I should love him, but I hate him. I want him to be in my life, but I don't want him in my life because all he does is damage. And, you have to learn that it's okay. You can't fix them. You cannot fix them. My dad's dead. He's been dead since 2001, 2002. And, I know there's a lot of adult children whose parents are still alive, and this is still a problem. The guilt you feel for wanting to cut this person off and completely out of your life because they're just still doing the same things they did when you were a kid. And not only are they damaging you now, but maybe they're doing the same thing to your grandkids. They're seeing the same behaviors. And you don't want your kids to see that or have to go through that. You want them to have a better life. And you can't do that by exposing them to the same garbage that you were. So, if you have to do that, it is okay. I had tons of guilt around this when I was a 20-something. And my dad died, I think I was 25 years old when my dad died, finally, of cirrhosis. He killed himself. And he never met my son. He never got to meet my son. And, that really, it hurt. It hurts. Because I wanted him to meet him. Because when I first got married, he would always say, when are you going to give me a grandbaby? And, being career driven and in music and stuff when I was younger, I wanted to put that off because I made a pact with myself that if I ever have kids, I'm going to be a parent. I'm going to be a real parent. You owe that to your kids to be a real parent. So I knew that there was things that I wanted to do, so I put that off. And, he died before I had my son. And that's something that I still struggle with a little bit. But I had got to the point where I just wouldn't go see him anymore. Once, I was out of the house, and, it took me a long time. I was afraid every day of my life, from the time I was a baby to the time I was 17, 18 years old. My mom left him when I was 15, and it was because he had grabbed me by the arm and was going to hit me because they were arguing about something, and, he had turned that on me. And my mom was like, okay, that's enough. And you would think that after leaving that, it would be over, but it was not. So every day of my life I was afraid. And, I wonder even now sometimes if I got into music because that was a way that he would see me. That was a way he was proud of me, because as he was older and he was suffering from severe cirrhosis, he quit drinking for a while, and I would go see him then, and he was a different person, and he was proud of me. He had a shrine in his living room of pictures of my albums and newspaper clippings where I had been written about in magazines, and he was very proud of me, and he was proud of me for my music. And I think part of why I played music when I was younger is because I wanted his approval so bad. And my mom was even that way. She felt like that music was a calling for me, and I took to it. I loved it, and I still question today. Is my love of music and my passion for music completely my own, or was it because that was an avenue for me to be seen and approved of by my parents, and to be able to be a part of their life because they loved music, and that was one thing they shared and had in common. And to be a part of that, maybe I put myself in that aspect of their life so they could include me. And that's a question I don't know. It's a question I'm going to have to work through and answer. It's a wonder, every day. And as ACOAs, we can't trust any feelings that we have. If we're attracted to someone very strongly, more than likely that person is bad for us. We can't trust our judgment in a lot of everyday things that, when you are a normal person, if you feel strong feelings for somebody or you feel attracted to somebody, then maybe that's a good thing. If I am overly into somebody, more than likely they're triggering something and I need to run like hell. and that's just a fact. And as an adult child of an alcoholic, that's what you learn. You can't trust your judgment, and you always question yourself. And where is this coming from? Is this real, or is this a survival mechanism or some other thing? So how does that? I knew I would ramble because I've just read some things that has just got some things in my mind. It's brought up some memories, and I want to share this stuff. I want to share my feelings about what I've learned and what I have recognized in myself, because I want you to be able to heal. I want you to recognize that because that you had to rationalize loving someone early on in your life who abused your mom, abused you, and it was always excused. You don't have to continue to do it now. What they teach you in therapy is that you have to be your own parent. You have to love yourself. You have to give yourself the love that you never had, and fill your heart and be whole in that way. Just do it yourself. You don't need it from anyone else. And once you're able to do that, then a lot of these other things, a lot of these boundary issues, a lot of these willingness to take on people's problems as your own, and just to let people disrespect you and to continually repeat bad behaviors over and over and over again, you're going to stop. You're going to say, buddy, I am better than that, because I love myself and I deserve better, and you do deserve better. You absolutely deserve better. Thank you very much again for your time. And, I understand with this Appalachian hillbilly accent that, it may be hard to take me seriously. I am a country music singer, Americana music writer, and I've owned that part of me, and coming into a life coaching profession is another passion that I have discovered that I love as much as I do my music, because I want to help people. I want to heal